the World Wide Web Consortium explains, borders fill the border area to visually delineate the edges of the box. When looking at the picture frame example, a border would be the frame around the picture. In relation to the box model, borders sit between the padding edge and the border edge. A box can have a variety of different styled borders, as seen here. We won't be covering all border properties in this video, but we will cover the ones that you will likely use the most. To start, the property that must be declared in order to view a border is border style. Should you try to set other border properties without setting this one, the border will not be visible. There are a few different ways border style can be declared. The fastest, most shorthand way to declare it is to simply use the border property. We can use any of the following values to declare the border style. We can also use the property border style to set the style using any of the same values. To style the border on any of the four sides of a box independently, we can use the properties border top, border bottom, border right, or border left. Notice we could append style to the end of these properties and the outcome is the same. Next, let's look at how to change the border color. Using the property border color, we can change the color of all four sides simultaneously using one value with the property. If we use two different values for the border color property, the first color will apply to the top and bottom borders, and the second color will apply to the left and right borders. If we use three different values for the border color property, the first color will apply to the top border, the second color will apply to the left and right borders, and the third color will apply to the bottom border. Lastly, if we use four different values for the border color property, the first color will apply to the top border, the second color will apply to the right border, the third color will apply to the bottom border, and the fourth color will apply to the left border. We can also set the color of the border on each of the sides independently using the properties border top color, border bottom color, border right color, and border left color. Now let's look at how to change the border width. Using the property border width, we can change the width of all four sides simultaneously using one value with the property. We can use an integer from 0 to infinity as a value, or we can also use a keyword of thin, medium, or thick, with the thin keyword equal to 1 pixel, the medium keyword equal to 3 pixels, and the thick keyword equal to 5 pixels. If we use two different values for the border width property, the first value will apply to the top and bottom borders, and the second value will apply to the left and right borders. If we use three different values for the border width property, the first value will apply to the top border, the second value will apply to the left and right borders, and the third value will apply to the bottom border. Lastly, if we use four different values for the border width property, the first value will apply to the top border, the second value will apply to the right border, the third value will apply to the bottom border, and the fourth value will apply to the left border. We can also set the width of the border on each of the sides independently using the properties border top width, border bottom width, border right width, and border left width. Using the shorthand property of border, we can apply values for border width, border style, and border color with one rule. We do not have to set all three every time we use the shorthand property. If we only want to set one or two of the three values with the shorthand property, we can, or we can set all three. Also, the values can be listed in any order. Any values not set will maintain their default values as listed here. The last property we are going to look at in this video is border radius. This property will shape the corners of a border. If we apply one value to this property, all corners will be rounded with the same radius. If we set two values, the first will set the radius for the top left and bottom right corners, and the second value will set the radius for the top right and bottom left corners. If we set three values, the first will set the radius for the top left corner, the second value will set the radius for the top right and bottom left corners, and the third value will set the radius for the bottom right corner. If we set four values, each corner will be set independently starting with the top left and moving clockwise around the box. Taking this a step further, using two values separated by a forward slash with this property, we can independently set the horizontal radius and vertical radius of each corner, creating elliptical corners. The first value will be the horizontal radius and the second value will be the vertical radius. If either value is 0, the corresponding corner will be square. We can set multiple corners at once using this syntax, with the values on the left of the / representing the horizontal axis and the values on the right of the / representing the vertical axis. The first value on both sides of the slash represent the top left, the second value the top right, the third value the bottom right, and the fourth value the bottom left. If no bottom left is provided, it is the same as the top right. If no bottom right value is provided, it is the same as the top left. If no top right value is provided, it is the same as the top left. That is all we will cover with borders in this video. There is still a decent amount of styling that can be applied to borders, but what is shown here is enough to get you started working with borders.